It's 17:30 GMT. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. My name is Umaru Sanda Amadu, and tonight I'm here with
Eno Safo.
Coming up over the next 90 minutes, Richard Jakpa's secret recording of Attorney General Godfred Dame admitted by the presiding judge in the matter as defense team begins cross-examining him on the content of the tape. We'll be hearing more on what transpired in court. Also coming up, parliamentary committee set up to consider a review of the 1992 Constitution proposes major reforms, including capping MPs, or the number of MPs, and also the number of ministers. We're breaking down the full content of the report and hear from actors in that particular committee's work. This is 97.3 Citi FM broadcasting from Adabraka in Accra. We also have business news coming up later on the show.
Ghana's energy sector receives major boost following a $250 million World Bank credit to fast-track electricity distribution.
That's in 15 minutes from the City Business Desk. And you remember that story brought you on Eyewitness News last night about the products, the health products or medical products that are locked up at Ghana's ports? Well, the health ministry, in fact, the minister himself, Dr. Bernard Okubwa, has announced that we should give him up to 2 weeks to clear all the drugs, free drugs that is, that have been brought to the Tema port. 97.3 Citi FM. Eyewitness News is live on YouTube, on Citi FM's official YouTube page. You can subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to ensure you are notified every time Eyewitness News goes live. You can also go on X and follow the conversation using the hashtag Eyewitness News. My handle is @Umaru Sanda. You can also send your message to @City973. On WhatsApp, the number to send your message to is 0549 986 996. 0549 986 996. If you're going outside Accra and wondering how to listen to Eyewitness News, I've got good news for you. In the Upper West region, we are on a number of stations, including Tungsung 97.3 FM in Wa and Jirapa FM 96.1, based in Jirapa. In Upper East region, we are on Tanga Radio 93.7 in Bolga, Tanga. In the Northern region, we are on Radio Bimbila 91.9 FM in Bimbila. In the Volta region, we are on Revival 99.3 FM in Tajavu. In the Ashanti region, we are in Kumasi on Focus 94.3 FM and Orange 107.9 FM. In Ahafo region, we are on Hammers 106.5 FM in Gosu. And in Bono region, we are on Greener 95.9 FM in Sunyani. In Takrady, in the Western region, we are on Beach 105.5 FM and Sky Power 93.5 FM. Do send us your views, react to the stories, and we'll share with the world what your position is. 97.3 Citi FM is the station. Eyewitness News is the program. Umaru Sandamadu is the name. And tonight we start off from Parliament. Now, there was a committee set up by the House of Parliament. It's called the Constitution Review Consultative Committee. It was established by the government, and it has proposed that the size of Parliament be capped. The committee argued that there must be consequential amendments to Article 93 to ensure that Parliament consists of not more than 277 elected MPs. The committee also recommended that to reduce the size of government further, the privilege to appoint deputy ministers be expunged. It argued also that the position of regional ministers be abolished, similar to the deputy ministerial positions. The committee further said that the president shall appoint as many ministers of state as may be necessary for the efficient running of the state. However, the number of ministers must not exceed 25. Again, the committee recommended the scrapping of Article 68(5) of the 1992 Constitution to impose on the president a duty to pay tax. Now, you do know that presidents don't pay tax. And now the proposal is for the president to pay tax on his salary and emoluments as an example to the rest of the citizenry. The committee said it believed that the move will reflect the principle of equality before the law and accord with the rule of law. We'll be hearing shortly from former Member of Parliament for Tamale Central, Inusa Fuseni, who was part of this particular committee. I'm not sure if he was chairman. I'll be finding out that in a bit. But before then, his colleague, who was once a leader of the House and MP for Zebila, Cletus Avoka, spoke, and he said he did not agree with the position of the committee. Let's hear the disagreements he has on these key issues that I've itemized, and then we hear defense from the committee members.
The initiative, the intuition, and then the courage to put the committee in place to review the constitution and the committee that President Mills had put on earlier. I think it was a very brave effort. I have not had time to read. I saw the document only a day or 2 days ago, so one is bereft with details of it. But somewhere along the line, many of the committee members were complaining of lack of logistical support, like TNT repairs and then the rest of them. I will urge you humbly to look into that. So the next time you put a committee in place, they will work to the best of their ability. Having made that observation on behalf of the people, Mr. Moderator, as I introduced myself earlier, I indicated that I was a member of the Consultative Assembly that drew up the 1992 Constitution with young man Forson, who was a very young man from the university at the time. And I stand to correction, but I think that is one of the best constitutions that we have drafted in this country. And that is why it has lasted 32, 34 years without any blemish. And I want to associate myself with Honorable Dr. Aini, that our problem is not the constitution. Our problem is the individual, is the Ghanaian leader. Many of the provisions in the constitution are abused more in practice, than in practice. They are not observed. They are honored in the breach than in the observance. And that is the problem that we have. For example, if you take the directive principle of state policy, in fact, I was a member of that committee, where they provide that a succeeding government must take on board the project that were started by the previous government and complete them. It's just a provision there. They come and they don't do it. Is that the problem of the Constitution? No, it's an individual, our attitude. That is the challenge. Having said that, I want to just talk on one issue that has been very, very critical, and that is the Article 78, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Moderator, Article 78 of the Constitution. That is the appointment of ministers. We thought on this issue critically and came with that provision to save the situation in the country. I didn't see. I stand for correction, but I didn't see some of the argument that went into it. But if you look at the 1969 Constitution, which we consider a 1979 Constitution, there are issues that you may have to look at before you take a decision. 69, Westminster Model of Constitution. Only MPs must be ministers. Unfortunately, the Progress Party that won the government, that is President Bush here, did not have an MP from the Volta region. There was no member of parliament from the Volta region in the Progress Party. And therefore, there was no minister of state or cabinet minister from the Volta region. Look at that huge region. And they have a cabinet meeting. And there's nobody in that region to guide cabinet on issues relating to that region. What is participatory democracy? This says again the concept of participatory democracy that we are all enjoined to uphold. So we took that into consideration. Took like 1979 Constitution. Our brother Dr. Hillel Liman. If we are appointed, you are a minister, I'm MP, and you are appointed a minister, you have to resign, like they are proposed in this write-up. You have to resign. And some of them did. And what happened? He lost his budget in 1980 or 80, just because of the fact that ministers who came from parliament had conflict with MPs who were not made ministers. There was enviness between them. And then they thought that ministers, some of them, the ministers, came from abroad. Others were technocrats and civil servants who did not go to campaign, who did not work for the party. And then they came and then they were made ministers. And they, the MPs who went to the trenches, who went to the gutters and campaigned for the party to win, were watching them change portfolios and or change briefcases and the rest of them. So they said, okay, we will sabotage the budget and then you will see. So that is a challenge that we took into consideration in making the provision. Now look at the current constitution. What argument did we have? Besides those issues that I've talked about, we thought very, very, very well before we made the provision. One, we thought that by making some MPs ministers, it will attract experienced, knowledgeable, and professionals to come to Parliament. And when you have experienced people, professional people to come to Parliament, then one, they will improve the quality of debate. They will improve the quality of debate on the floor. And secondly, they will improve the quality of laws that we pass. There are some laws that we pass that when you read them, they have no meaning. It's because of the type of people who are there passing the law. And my colleagues who are in current Parliament with me will appreciate this. Che, he's not a lawyer, but he has been responsible for many of the bills that we passed in Parliament into law. What happens is that lawmaking or deliberation in Parliament is the most boring aspect. It's very, very boring, it's technical, and it doesn't attract many people. Unless some of the few professionals like lawyers and other engineers and the rest of them who come and think that, oh, the bill they are dealing with refers to my sector, engineering, medical, and whatnot, he'll be there. If you go and bring anybody and say that, I mean, we shudder to think about this and then put them there, you have 5 out of 275 people, or at best 10 or 15, making law for 33 million people. That is the challenge that we had. So we said, okay, let them say that, let the man aspire to become a minister. If you made a provision that from MP you can become a minister, then you attract many of these professionals, many of these experts and rest to come, improve quality of debate, improve the quality of the law that we pass. Because if a country is not governed by good laws, then we cannot develop. That was one of the reasons that we gave. And it ensures that when you are an MP and you are in cabinet, when you come to Parliament, you improve the debate in the sense that you piloted the bill or you are part of the discussion of the bill in the cabinet. And therefore, when you come to the chamber, you will guide us, who are not members of cabinet, to know the philosophy, the policy behind the law. These were some of the louder areas that we had. And then we thought that if members of Parliament are also ministers and they come to the chamber, we can consult each other. Many of the MPs cannot go to the ministry to see their ministers because they go there, they are at a meeting and the rest of them. But when you are a minister who is an MP, he comes to the house, see how we juggle. We go there and then consult, do this and whatnot, and it brings cohesion and improves the quality of Parliament. These were some of the reasons that we had. I regret to say that because of human attitude, we have lost some of these arguments. Many MPs who become ministers think that their office is the good Jubilee House and no more Parliament. Many ministers don't respect Parliament again. For one reason or another, they think they owe their allegiance to the presidency at the Jubilee House and not to the Speaker in Parliament. So we don't get them. Is that, I mean, when they come, they don't even support the debate. We thought that having piloted the bill in Parliament, I mean, in the cabinet and come to Parliament, you will guide us. But they don't. They don't. That's the challenge. I mean, the time in 1991, 92, we had lofty ideas, but upon hindsight and the practice, that is why I'm not telling you this. I'm coming. I'm coming. Yes, yes. We don't get the benefit of ministers in Parliament. Even budget, you are dealing with a minister's budget, and he's not available. He's not available. Maybe the technical directors are available. The minister is not there to guide the policy or the policies of it. So I think that having said so, I initially, because we made the Constitution, we are part of it. On a hindsight, I think that it's a disservice. It's a complete disservice to have MPs serving as ministers. It's a complete disservice. And the most dangerous thing for an MP is that, like, if he's chairman, most honorable is, let's say, I'm just assuming Zebile South, and I'm Zebile West, or Boku South and Boku West, and he's minister for roads and highways. You can imagine the danger that the other MP will go through. All feeder roads in his constituency or district will be made. The adjoining district where the MP is a backbencher, nothing happens. You are MP for energy. Then all your rural communities, because you are minister for energy, they have electricity. The adjoining constituency is in darkness. Next 4 years, you will not go back. Because your counterpart is energizing. They said he's a more resourceful MP. He's development oriented. You, the backbencher, they think that you have no ideas or you don't do well in parliament, and you do 4 years, and he does 8 years or more years. I think that is also a disservice.
Thank you.
There is a disservice.
So that's the member of parliament for Zebila Cletus Apul Avoka. He was speaking to a committee. The work of a committee is known as Constitution Review Consultative Committee. Alhaji Inusa Fuseini is former member of parliament for Tamale Central, a member of the NDC, just like Cletus Avoka there. He was the one who presented this report. He's joined us on the line. Alhaji, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you for having me. How are you, Moro?
I'm fine, Alhaji. Just that we have to go back and forth again. It's Umaru.
Yes, Umaru.
Nagode.
But that is a corrupted name of Umar.
Oh, Alhaji. Nisuna nani. Nachi haka yanike
Barka Sallah.
Barka Kadi. Send us a ram over so we can celebrate the Eid al-Adha properly. I've seen some nice rams the last time I was in Tamale Central. So send some.
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
Alhaji,
We'll see.
let's talk about this. First of all, this Constitution Review Consultative Committee. When was it set up? What was the idea behind it?
So the Constitution Review Committee was set up somewhere in April of this year by the majority leader then, the Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, with institutional representation from all the universities, the judiciary, the National Council for Civic Education, and others, to look at the Constitution Review Committee report and white paper, to receive proposals for constitutional amendment from the universities and all public-spirited persons, consider them, see what was relevant, because the Constitution Review Committee's report is about 12 years old now, and see whether the amendments proposed by the Constitution Review Committee was still tangential and important for the deepening of our democracy, or whether it needed some tweaking, which provisions of the Constitution are in the balance of what we call hanging fruits, can be taken immediately to give effect to the promise contained in the preamble of the Constitution to create equality of opportunities and prosperity for the people of Ghana and guarantee our liberty. So that was the Constitution Review Consultative Committee. So they did not reinvent the wheel. What they did was to look at the CRC report, white paper, looked at the bills, received memoranda from the Attorney General's office, the universities, and considered them and set themselves some guiding principles. Whether any amendment that they were going to make was intended was a constitutional matter, was belonged to the Constitution.
Okay.
Whether the principles enunciated in the Constitution or the principles the Constitution tries to espouse, whether the proposed amendment sits with that principle, the values of the Constitution, and all those things. So the panel came out with a report and made 19 recommendations for amendment of the Constitution.
So it was not Mr. Speaker's committee, it was Mr. Chairman Sabonsu's committee, and he did that as a minister of state, not a member of parliament. So it has no bearing on parliament whatsoever. Even though the members may be MPs, it's not a parliament committee.
Well, I do not know. I do not know whether I can answer the question properly because I'm not a member of the committee. Neither am I working for the Chief Minister's office.
But you are a former MP. You know that Parliament has standing and quasi committees.
But what I know
ad hoc committees.
It's not a committee of Parliament.
So it's not a committee of Parliament. Good.
In the terms of the standing order, it's not a committee of Parliament.
Okay. So what locus does it have then? And sorry because you said you're not a member. Okay. First of all, let me ask, what is your relationship with this committee? Because you are the one who we had in them. What's your relationship with the committee? If you are not a member, how come you were the one speaking to the issue?
I've met with the committee. I have met with another committee that was set up to look at the constitutional review. I am very passionate about ensuring that the Constitution meets the avowed values and the promise made in the preamble. And I've worked on a number of such arrangements or intentions to amend the Constitution. You recall that in the last Parliament, I was the ranking member of the Constitutional, Legal, and Parliamentary Affairs, and I was very instrumental in trying to appreciate what the proposed amendment to Article 243 of the Constitution was all about.
So specifically, in this committee, what was your work? Were you a consultant to the committee? Were you a member of the committee?
I was not a consultant to the committee. I was a member of the committee.
So why did you present their report?
So I was nominated to present their report by the Minister for Parliamentary Affairs.
Who chaired the committee? And who are the other members?
Kasati chairs the committee.
Which
Mrs. Kasati from the University of Ghana.
Okay. And then which other members are in there? Do you remember or do you know?
The Forson, Junior, the former president of the Ghana Bar Association, Asafa J of ASEP, and let me hasten to add, I also was working with ASEP to try to see whether we could engender a constitutional review.
Okay,
now,
so if this committee was not a committee of parliament, it was a committee of former minister. I don't know, is he still minister for parliamentary affairs or say Chairman Sabosu? Because he's no more leader of the house. What use would be this committee's work? How far can you push it or advance it? Because you can't move it as a motion in Parliament and say, Mr. Speaker, I'm a chairman of your committee, you gave me a job, I've done the work. I wish to move so that the members of the House would debate and will possibly adopt it and it may become law. You can't take it to the presidency because this is not a government thing. It is just something in the middle there, perhaps an aspiration of a minister at the time. What would be the use of this work that has been done?
So that is a very good question. And this matter has come up variously in all the meetings and constitutional engagements I've had by people of well-intentioned people to look at the provisions of the Constitution. And the question has always been, how will the process be initiated in view of the fact that it is not coming from the executive? Okay, but a constitutional review need not come from the executive. It could come from Parliament. But Parliament itself can either start the process or work on a report like the report of the Constitution Review Consultative Committee. That is why when the report was presented as a former member of Parliament, I was invited to present it. Again, not a member of the committee, I was insulated from the biases of the committee and looking at it from their report. So I presented the report as presented by the Constitution Review Committee, and I didn't make a comment on any of the positions of the report because I have my views. But it was thought that if members of the committee were going to present, probably their biases will influence the report, and so that's how come I was made to present the report.
Okay.
Now, so part of the process of what happened of amending the Constitution is what happened today in Parliament. That you build consensus, broad stakeholder engagement to build consensus on what ought to be done to the Constitution. And so this what happened today is just a beginning of the process. Especially when almost all the flag bearers of the various parties are alluding to aspects of the Constitution that might require some tweaking to be able to deliver on the promise of the Constitution. And so this is part of the engagement. And all people who want to see our democracy work, want to see that we can hold our leaders accountable, want to see the transparency in the administration of the country, want to see that the promise of the Constitution is realized, must show interest in what is happening, so that ideas, there can be cross-fertilization of ideas, and then we all build consensus on what ought to be done.
Okay. Now, you were a deputy minister in the Mills government. You were a deputy minister for energy, I recall that. And
Yes.
under the Mills government, there was a Constitution Review Commission that was set up, which did its work. Professor Ransford Jampo is a lecturer. I think he played an active role in that commission's work. He has sent me a long message that I want to read for you so that you can respond. He says, I should not give credence to this disingenuous attempt at always starting anew. He says, we have spent huge sums of money to undertake a holistic review of the Constitution, and the report is there. Apologies, I've lost Alhaji Nusaf Hussaini. I'm going to continue reading Professor Ransford Jampo's message, and I'm going to ask Nusaf Hussaini to respond to that. So he says, no nation can develop when it is always starting anew. What is wrong with us? The MPP was represented by no meaner person than Akintena Piaminka. Nana Akufo-Addo was consulted in the review process. Why have we left the report on the shelves to gather dust? Someone must actually be jailed for causing financial loss to the state for abandoning the constitutional review process, which entailed extensive consultation of the generality of Ghanaian citizenry. If all were consulted to generate a report, what is the sense in doing another job aimed at achieving that same objective of constitution review? Our leaders have only sought for avenues to do budgets and chop money. They have never meant well. Tell him I said it is unstatesmanly on his part to be aware of what has been done and to be part of a new move that jettisons the holistic work done by a government to which he was a part. In that case, why didn't they go back to the Constitution Review Commission? They had already done public consultations involving the generality of the public. What was therefore the essence of the work in consulting universities? The work has been done already. Consensus had been built already. It needed implementation, finito. We cannot be building consensus on matters on which we have already built consensus. I am surprised at Nusaf Hussaini and what he is saying. Alhaji, that is a message that has been sent to me to be given to you by Professor Ransford Jampo. He's surprised and disappointed that you are doing this, considering that you were part of the Mills government.
Yes, I was part of the Mills government.
And you watched a committee report be sit on the shelves, he says.
And the committee report as it touched and concerned me, my ministry, was sent to me for my comment. And I'm aware of the white paper that was issued.
So his point is that...
Let me answer to him.
Yes, go ahead.
First of all, I'm not aware of any budget. I'm not aware of any budget for the Constitution Review Consultative Committee. And if there's a budget, I'm not a beneficiary of that budget. I'm just a public-spirited person who is deeply concerned that some of the provisions of the Constitution are not meeting the intended purpose for which they were crafted. So I'm not paid a dime for what I've done or what I'm doing.
Okay.
So that is to be understood. No one has paid me one farthing for what I'm doing. I just think that there's a duty to be performed, and I've made myself available to perform that duty. I do that at my own cost.
Okay. Let's look at the part about the consultation. You say that this work was meant to have broader consultation. I'm going to read the list of members of that committee. I've just gotten it. Our parliamentary correspondent has just shared. So the members are Clara Kasati, who is a chairperson, University of Ghana, School of Law; Victor Brobe, National Commission on Civic Education; Professor John Asafueje, African Center for Economic Transformation; Chinebu Akodia Dixon, Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs; Yaobuedwa Yebuafo, National Media Commission; Justice Yoni Kulendi, Judiciary; John Nwoza, Audit Service; Anthony Forson Jr., Ghana Bar Association; Alfred Yeboah, Ministry of Justice and Attorney General's Department. He's the Deputy Minister there; Mercy Labi, Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, Dr. Kojo Mensah Abrampa, National Development Planning Commission, he's a boss there, and Nanate Wia Ochir, Parliamentary Service. Now, these are the people who came up with this work. However, the view of Professor Ramsford Jampo, and I believe many others, would be, if you are looking for consultation or broader consultation, the CRC's work had a more national perspective than this committee's work. Why didn't you push for that rather to be implemented, instead going for this one, which, with all intents and purposes and based on all we have discussed, doesn't have any tooth at all to bite anything?
Well, so the rationale for setting up the Constitution Review Commission, Constitution Review Consultative Committee, is left with those who set it up, and that is the former majority leader. It's not for me to espouse the rationale. No, I am part of this process because it's about the Constitution, and I believe that I have something to contribute towards making the Constitution deliver on the promise. And so I was invited based on my interest in the Constitution. That's all. I do not, you read the list of the committee. I'm not part of the committee. If I had to travel down to Accra yesterday by myself.
I see,
and
okay.
Today's meeting was very eye-opening. Clearly very eye-opening. Now, the consultative Constitution Review Commission made many proposals. One reason why the report could not be implemented was because of the number of proposals and the mood of amending those proposals, those recommendations. The recommendations were largely grouped into two, the entrenched and non-entrenched provisions. And draft bills were produced that grouped all the amendments of the entrenched provisions and the amendment of the non-entrenched provisions, and asked Parliament to deal with the non-entrenched provisions and a referendum to answer one single question on all the other entrenched clauses. The Constitution Review Committee is of the view that goes against the grain of amending provisions of the Constitution. So one can see that one reason why the Constitution Review Committee, which did tremendous job, and I agree, could not be implemented, was the nature of the recommendations that were made and how they were to be implemented. Now, the Constitution Review Consultative Committee is not looking at reinventing the wheel. And if you look at their report, they suggested that, for instance, the Article 71 office holders, the committee envisaged under Article 71, which has been interpreted by succeeding presidents to mean when they assume office, they set up a committee to determine the salaries or emoluments of members of Parliament or Article 71 office holders, should be turned into a permanent committee of sorts and called an independent emoluments committee. I think that sounds familiar. That derives directly from the Constitution Review Committee's report. Clearly. They have recommended that the president should pay tax on his income, his salary, as a demonstration of good leadership and for equity reasons. That found favor with the Constitution Review Committee.
I have listened to Cletus Avoka. I believe he was in the Consultative Assembly. He does not agree with a lot of the things that this committee came out with. You were saying
first of all, you need to understand that the committee's report was not meant to be agreed by all. If that were so, you wouldn't have stakeholder engagement. It was meant to create a platform for people to discuss the 19 recommended proposals.
So what next after this proposal? Where is the committee taking them to, these proposals? What next? What's going to happen?
Well, in that meeting, the only suggestion I made was that the stakeholder engagement was escalated to include a broad section of the Ghanaian population to see whether consensus can be built on
so these 19 proposals will be sold to Ghanaians again. Who will do the selling? The honorable chairman.
There's a committee.
Who is going to fund? Who's going to fund the committee? Who's paying for the committee?
I don't know. I mean, I'm available and ready. I'm available and ready to work.
I think we'll try
and
to call.
have time to work.
What we'll do is I will try to call members.
I think that you direct your questions, those questions to the relevant persons. I'm just offering myself.
You are doing national service.
The national service of sorts.
Very well. Thank you. We'll try and reach the committee members and ask them who is paying for their work and what they are going to do next. God bless you.
Very well. Thank you.
By the way, just on the petty side of things, I'm going to start calling you Yunus instead of Inusa because the real name is Yunus.
So that's what happened. I mean, one day I went somewhere and another one said my name was wrong. It was Yunus. I also insisted that the name was not Yunus, it was Inusa. So I perfectly understand when you say you are not Umar, but Umuru. Yunus
Husseini, former Tamale Central MP. Thank you for speaking to us.
So you will do that with Yunus Hussein.
Yeah, Yunus Hussein, yes, that's true.
Yes, yeah.
Thank you for speaking to us. Have a good night.
Welcome.
That's the former Tamale Central Member of Parliament, Alhaji Yunus Husseini. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We'll return with more. Please stay.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens. In a world where only the best survives, you need a fuel that can match your drive. A fuel with unparalleled protection for your engine, superior efficiency, and unrivaled performance. A fuel so unbeatable, when you get behind the wheel, you'll focus on what really matters. The journey ahead. That fuel is Shell V-Power, because no other fuel gives your engine better protection, better efficiency, and better performance. Be unbeatable. Drive unbeatable. Shell V-Power. Shell. Go well.
Are you a contractor, builder, or a proud homeowner with an eye for quality and security? Well, look no further than Yale. Yale is a trusted name in security for over 180 years. When it comes to securing your home or business, trust Yale. We make security simple, and we're right here in the heart of Accra, Ghana. Visit our stunning showroom on 11th Lane Street, Inosu, Accra, and discover a world of premium Yale products, including door hardware, handles, and door locks that will elevate the security and style of your space. Whether you're building from scratch or renovating, Yale has the perfect solution for you. Our products are known for their durability, innovation, and most importantly, your peace of mind. Visit us today and experience the Yale difference. Your security, our priority. Yale, locking in your peace of mind.
Hey, Walambo! Hey, Walambo! I asked him to buy me original Polita.
Hey, please don't make mistake. Talk about Paro. Open the back man. And ye no gala. Hey, Papa.
Papa, can Ropo?
The Polita is original. The first and the best.
What is? Ukota also put dear acrobat using it.
Polita, yes.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
You're welcome back. The Ministry of Health has given assurances that the medical supplies currently stuck at the ports will be cleared within 2 weeks. This commitment follows an announcement by health-focused civil society organizations planning to protest for the release of essential Global Fund medications for malaria, tuberculosis and HIV, which have been held at the port since May 2023. The government has attributed the delay to the payment procedures for new exemption bills and the introduction of new charges. However, Dr. Bernard Okoboy, the sector minister, said his ministry has the all clear to proceed.
The commodities, the ministry has issued a statement, and the statement, I'm sure, is available for you to see. We are committed to getting the containers out. And for me, personally, irrespective of the bureaucracies involved with government and all that, I have given myself 2 weeks. 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, I myself will not be encouraged if there is 2 more or 1 more container left at the port. In fact, and this one you can take it from me, if by 2 weeks we still have containers at the port, you will not see me here. I'll be sitting rather at the port. I'll sit at the port with them until everything comes out. We could have, I've said it somewhere, we could have handled it in a better way. But we don't want to go into the past. We want to make sure that going into the future, these things don't recur. I don't want to blame anybody.
Dr. Bernard Okoboy is the Minister of Health. Still at the ministry, they have urged contractors to expedite the reconstruction of the La General Hospital to meet the 28-month deadline. The government has announced securing 50 million euros in local alternative funding for the project, which had been stalled for several years. With 18 months remaining until the project's scheduled completion, only 20% of the work has been finished, with most structural work nearly done. During a working visit, the Minister of Health, Dr. Bernard Okoboy, stressed the government's commitment to ensuring the timely release of funds to keep the project on track.
About $9 million or so was released to the contractor. That's what has made the work take off. This should have come from the arrangement we had, which had challenges. So, I mean, I'm not aware, as we speak, that a certificate has come and we have not paid. But that's how it works. They do some work to some level. The consultant will certify that, oh, this contractor has done this work, which costs, let's say, $1 million. It comes to us and the government will pay. And so we are committed. We'll make sure that they get the support, the releases to be on the project within the 28-month period. They started in January. So from January to now, we've had some number of months gone already. My prayer is that I'll be part of the commissioning of this project, and all of us should monitor it keenly. The takeaway is that it was not a fluke. It's not like someone said, oh, I'm going to build a hospital, when they had no plans, no designs, and no contractor. It is happening, and I'm happy that we are all part of the experience.
Minister of Health, Dr. Bernard Okoboy. The over 30 students of Ejumakwa Francis Technical and Vocational School who suffered food poisoning after they ate wachi on campus have been discharged from the hospital. On Tuesday, the students complained of stomach upset after consuming cooked rice and beans, popularly known as wachi, for lunch. Daniel Ejapo, physician assistant at the Salvation Army Polyclinic, where some of the students were taken, administered first aid, bringing the situation under control. However, school authorities have refused to comment on the matter. Away from that, a fire explosion at the AGL gas fuel station at Esufufu in the Sunyai East municipality of the Bunu region destroyed a story building, a saloon car, and a tanker discharging liquefied petroleum gas yesterday. It took the Sunyai Municipal Fire Command hours to bring the fire under control. 9 persons in a nearby house escaped unhurt. A victim of the fire incident, Yabwache, has been speaking to City News.
Just like a violent wind or something. So apparently I thought it was raining. So when I checked through my window, I didn't see any sign of rainfall or something. So I wanted to get back to the house owner to inquire what is really happening. By the time we got there, apparently the fire has just engulfed all the roofing. So we had to just run away for our lives. So we couldn't take anything. Like I had my phone with me when I was going out, so I couldn't even come back. So that was what really happened. We tried calling the fire service. We called them. They came around almost about an hour and some minutes. But when they came, the concentration was with the filling station, so they couldn't even come here. So when they had finished with the filling station, they came to us around almost 12. That was almost about 3 hours after the incident.
We lost everything.
Almost. We couldn't even pick anything. The only thing I picked was my phone.
Yabwache is a victim in the fire explosion at the AGL gas fuel station at Esufufu in the Sunyai East municipality. The Bunu Regional Commander of the Ghana National Fire Service, ACFO Olivia Ayim, has been speaking on the incident.
With the initial assessment, we found out that there's this truck that brings in gas, and when you are discharging, you are not supposed to dispense, and so that is what we have found out. they were discharging and at the same time dispersing. And so that was, but then there might be something that triggered the fire outbreak. That we don't know yet. And so that is what we are yet to unravel.
What is the ideal thing to do if they want to discharge?
They are supposed to consult the fire service, and they will bring people to come and supervise. And when there's things like that, we'll make sure that we cut it at the initial stage. But that we were not consulted, so we don't know why. And we can't be everywhere, and that's the reason why they are supposed to contact us.
That was the Bono Regional Commander of the Ghana National Fire Service, ACFO Olivia Ayim. The leadership of the Concerned Drivers Association have endorsed some key policies of the National Democratic Congress flag bearer John Dramani Mahama. The group says policies such as high purchase vehicles, pension schemes and ultra-modern bus terminals across the country resonate with its members, hence their support for the NDC candidate. The group, however, is cautioning the NDC flag bearer against turning his back on the policy, adding that its members are ready to throw their weight behind the NDC for victory in 2024. Aminu Yusuf is the National Secretary for the Concerned Drivers Association of Ghana, and he spoke to City News.
The NDC flag bearer, John Dramani Mahama, has mentioned some policies offering a gleaming hope to us, which includes the following. I think we have 4 points and we will mention them one after the other. 1 is hire purchase, 2, pension scheme, 3, ultra-modern bus terminals, 4, drivers' day. We will take the hire purchase. 1, we trust this intervention to make vehicle ownership much easier for players in the transportation sector. We commend the NDC flag bearer for exhibiting much concern about us. We wish to caution him also turning his back on us after winning the election. We urge all stakeholders to join us in supporting John Mahama's vision for a better Ghana.
Aminu Yusuf is the National Secretary for Concerned Drivers Association of Ghana. The National Democratic Congress branch in the Ashanti region has called out the Education Minister and officials of the Ghana Education Service for allegedly involving students in the just-ended tour of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia in the Ashanti region. The party wants parents to speak against the involvement of their wards in political activities at the expense of their education. Some senior high school students from the region were bused to the Kumasi Jubilee Park to attend a Youth Connect event when Dr. Bawumia visited the Ashanti region. Deputy Ashanti Regional Secretary of the National Democratic Congress, Ba Echamfo, speaking at a news conference in Kumasi, said the NPP used the students to cover its sinking popularity in the Ashanti region.
One major feature of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia tour was the busing of students from various senior high schools to the Youth Connect program at the Jubilee Park to create a crowd effect to show up Bawumia's sinking popularity in his own political stronghold. We find this development very worrying because it shows the desperate length the NPP is prepared to go just to create an illusion of popularity. The law of the land do not allow partisan politics in our senior high schools. And so, for the headmasters of these institutions to have released SHS students, some of whom are minors, to participate in this political activity at the time they are supposed to be in school is a cause to worry. What is even shocking is that all this happened right under the nose of the Minister of Education, Mr. Yao Educhu.
You heard Deputy Ashanti Regional Secretary of the National Democratic Congress, Ba Echamfo.
This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Let's go to the courts now. Richard Jakba's tip has made it successfully to the courtroom. But how useful has it been to the case against Kizela Tuforsen and 2 others in that ambulance case? Hansen Ajiman is our court correspondent. Hansen, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Sander.
So there was an application for the tip to be tendered in evidence. There was a long debate, and then the judge decided that he would hear the tip. She would hear the tip.
Yes. So the judge today delivered a ruling, and she indicated that the tape is relevant in her opinion, and also based on stated tests for which electronic materials should be admitted, and the discretionary powers of the court to do away with instances where a recording may have infringed upon the rights of an individual, but for the purposes of administering justice, there's a need to admit a certain tape which perhaps may have been obtained in a manner that to a large extent infringed upon the rights of somebody. And also the fact that if you look at some cases around this subject matter, the conversation has been that when really it is about state prosecutors bringing such a tape against an accused person, the court is most likely to admit it into evidence. And so on that same understanding, the judge felt that there was a need to admit this particular tape into evidence, albeit that it will depend on the level of weight that the judge will put on the evidence that has been submitted. And so on face value level, the evidence has, the audio recording between Richard Jakpa and Godfrey Dame has been accepted by the court, and cross-examination continued with Richard Jakpa, where lawyers of Ato Forson specifically cross-examined on some of the issues that were contained in the audio.
So the cross-examination, what are some of the things that came up? And if these things that came up, if the judge allows them and no objection is raised, they become part of the court records. What are some of the revelations outside what we already heard in the tape were brought up when the witness was led in evidence?
Largely, the cross-examination went on uninterrupted, but for few times when the accused person was speaking faster than the recorders of the court, so that they could not keep up with his pace, and he had to be called to order to speak in a matter where they can record his statement. There were no substantial objections to the things he was saying. Now, there was first the cross-examination on the claim he made about meeting Godfrey Dame at odd hours and Godfrey Dame engaging him to implicate Ato Forson, where he indicated that he has actually met Ato Forson 4 times. Now, 2 of those meetings, according to him, happened in 2022. He talked about another meeting that happened in 2023, which was a day before the ruling of the submission of no case, and also a recent meeting just before he could open his defense in 2024. Now, he says that for the very first meeting that took place, it was at his request. So he got in touch with the Attorney General to request for the meeting. The Attorney General then indicated that he would arrange the meeting through his brother or his cousin, as interchangeably Justice Yoni Kulendi is referred to in court by Richard Jakpa. And so that first meeting happened where he indicated that the reason he wanted to meet Mr. Dame was to essentially explain things to him and to let him know that the charges against him are unfounded. According to him, after explaining to Mr. Dame, Dame indicated that if that is indeed the case, then he would definitely be discharged at the time when the court is giving a ruling on the submission of no case. Then there was a second meeting where at this meeting, Godfrey Dame, according to Richard Jakpa, asked for his cooperation. And because of the assurance that he had given him earlier, he also decided to cooperate with him. And so Godfrey Dame asked for certain documents for which Richard Jakpa gave those documents to him. These documents, he says, are documents that he had submitted to Yoko in the course of investigation. And he says essentially that first meeting and the second meeting was Godfrey Dame telling him that he is going to be discharged, considering the case against him. Then lawyers of Atuforsen went further to cross-examine him on if the ambulances indeed are not fit for purpose. Mind you, the case against the two accused persons currently is that the government of Ghana has paid certain money for ambulances. These ambulances, which are not fit for purpose, and so some monies have lost, and so the charges they are facing. Now, Richard Jacques indicates that this cannot be the case because the determination by government for which this whole prosecution is hinged on was made by former Minister of Health, now late Sherry Aiti, and he indicates that at the time that determination was made, the ambulances had not been even handed over to the government because per the contract arrangement, the ambulances were supposed to be shipped to Ghana, stored at a place for Richard Jaffa, who was the agent for Big C, to undertake the necessary exercise with the ambulances and also to train the necessary personnel before handing them over. And so, in his opinion, it is after that incident had happened and the ambulances had been handed over to the government, then the government can be able to say that the ambulances are not fit for purpose. But here's the case for him. This is a government that declined or waived its right to pre-inspect the ambulances in Dubai and only did a post-delivery inspection of the ambulances, which was not even in the contract and which at the time had not been handed over to them. And so, to a large extent, he says when the ambulances came in and they did not have the necessary accessories, his principal, that is the Big C, had shipped the accessories to Ghana, and there was a subsequent agreement that is an addendum to the main contract, which mandated the government of Ghana to, one way or the other, clear those accessories to allow Mr. Jaffa to fix these equipment in the ambulances.
Hansen,
but the government of Ghana has not done that.
Hansen, for want of time, specifically on just the admission of the tape, do we envisage that the AG would also then cross-examine Richard Jacques in the future? Is that part of the possible plan?
Certainly. So,
okay.
So Richard...
if that, let's leave it here for now. If that's expected, we'll wait to see what happens next. Thank you so much. When next is the court hearing the case?
Next week, Tuesday.
Next week, Tuesday. Thank you. That's Hansen Ajiman. He's our correspondent in the court. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. And still in the courts,
The main accused person involved in the killing of a military officer at Kaswa has been charged with murder and conspiracy to commit a crime, to wit, murder. The accused, known as Ben Lord, who claims to be a chief, was arrested after allegedly shooting at the military officer, killing him instantly at the Millennium City Police Station. He was initially arraigned on May 3 and has since been on remand. The police completed its investigation and forwarded the docket to the Attorney General for advice. Weeks after this, the Attorney General proffered his advice on the matter and instructed the police to charge Ben Lord with murder and conspiracy. Meanwhile, the second accused person in the case, Nana Amokwachi, who was arrested later in connection with the incident, has been charged with conspiracy to commit a crime, to wit, murder. The case has been adjourned to June 20.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens. Do you have a game-changing and innovative business idea or project that can impact the society? This is your moment. Total Energies presents the 4th edition of the Startupper of the Year Challenge. This year, we are looking for 3 winners. The best entrepreneur, also called the InnovUp winner. The best project or innovative business idea that exemplifies the principle of recycling and minimizing waste, also called the Cycle Up winner. And the best project that promotes or relates to sustainable and affordable energies, also called the Power Up winner. And that's not all. 4 additional projects in the Power Up category will be selected by an international jury. Don't wait any longer. Apply at www.startupper.totalenergies.com for a chance to win financial support, professional mentorship, and a spotlight for your project. Terms and conditions apply.
One of the best decisions you could possibly make at the start of your day is to tune in to the Citi Breakfast Show. Insightful, intriguing, intelligent, and informative. The Citi Breakfast Show offers an attractive alternative to the noisy mishmash of morning radio. Tune in to the Citi Breakfast Show for passionate discussions on issues that matter and enjoy interviews where duty bearers and decision makers have their feet held to the fire. The Citi Breakfast Show airs from 6:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. every Monday to Friday, only on 97.3 Citi FM.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. Citi Business News. Be informed.
Time now for City Business News on Eyewitness News. My name is Inosafu. Let's settle for the details. The World Bank has given the green light for a $250 million credit injection alongside a $10 million grant to bolster Ghana's energy sector. This approval from the World Bank comes just a day after the government officially reached a deal with the Official Creditor Committee in the restructuring of external debts. In a statement, the World Bank noted that the funding aims to fuel a 4-year energy sector recovery program for results, targeting improved electricity distribution and enhanced access to clean cooking solutions. Here are excerpts of the statement.
Through this important results-based financing, the World Bank is committed to supporting the recovery of Ghana's energy sector and its financial sustainability. The operation aims to strengthen revenue collection and improve the quality of energy supply through investment in prepaid metering and in the commercial and meter management systems of distribution utilities. The clean cooking component of the program will increase the access of Ghanaian households, schools and businesses to liquefied petroleum gas for domestic and commercial use. The program will provide direct incentives to subsidize the cost of stoves and accessories, excluding cylinders, for first-time domestic users, commercial caterers, and second-cycle schools. Through these efforts, the program aims to increase women's access to clean cooking solutions.
Those were excerpts of the statement from the World Bank on the approval of a $250 million energy sector credit facility. The Ghana Statistical Service has called for a shift in announcing year-on-year inflation targets to a month-on-month inflation targets. This, according to the service, will give policymakers a true picture of the state of the economy required for policy direction. Year-on-year inflation for May dropped to 23.1% as against April's 25% rate. Speaking on the Citi Breakfast Show, government statistician Professor Samuel Kobna Enim identified the need to focus on the month-on-month inflation, which recorded a 3.2% rise in May from the 1.8% recorded in April.
The year-on-year inflation is for reporting purposes relative to what happened last year. It doesn't really help with decision-making. It tells you where you have gotten to at any point in time. But if you really want to tweak policies and understand what is happening currently, it's a month-on-month inflation that you need to keep an eye on and at any point in time ensure that it's steadily going down. Unfortunately, our month-on-month inflation historically has been very volatile, which simply means that in current terms, whatever policies that we are putting in, we are not able to sustain it so that for, let's say, a 6-month consecutive period, a 12-month consecutive period, we can say that steadily we are bringing down our month-on-month inflation. So the question is not which one is important, but it depends on what you want to use the statistics for. If you just want to go out there and say that I'm doing well, you go ahead and use your year on year. But if you really want to tweak policy and understand what is happening in terms of the outcomes of policies, then it's your month-on-month inflation that you need to look at.
You heard government statistician Professor Samuel Kobina Enim. Meanwhile, the business community is urging the government to implement measures that will align the recent decline in the inflation rate with the foreign exchange rate. This plea follows the 23.1% inflation rate recorded in May, marking a decrease from April's rate of 25%. Let's first hear from President of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, Dr. Joseph Obeng, who believes such an alignment would significantly alleviate the burden faced by traders when servicing debts.
We are certain that once we are getting these good indicators, then of course we have to work harder on the depreciation of the cedi so that it will also help bring down inflation further. So it is very good news because when prices are high, it doesn't help the growth for businesses. Businesses thrive on turnover. And if inflation is very high, it kills on our turnover and we are unable to service our debt, especially when our interest rate is also higher because of the same reason. So it is good that inflation drops and it's a good indicator, but we can still do better if we're able to stabilize the local currency.
You heard the president for Ghana Union of Traders Association, Dr. Joseph Obeng. Let's now hear from the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana. John Awuni is the executive chairman for the association.
It is good once inflation figures are dropping. We will say that is good. But generally, there's still a lot to be done. Prices are still quite very high in the marketplace, and it's making the demand very low. So most businesses are really struggling to sell, and also the value of money we are losing. So I still think that the inflation figures are still quite high, that we need to do a lot. But my disposable income of consumer is also very low. And this is not the best time for the business community. This is not the best time for any entrepreneur. So there's a lot to be done to jubilate over this drop.
You heard the executive chairman for the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana, John Awuni. Ghana led sub-Saharan Africa with the highest number of banks holding government debt in 2023, as reported by Fitch Solutions. Ranked among the top 10 countries in terms of government debt relative to the size of the economy in the sub-region, Ghana's banking sector faces notable exposure to sovereign debt. Here's more.
The report indicates that banks in sub-Saharan Africa, including Ghana, will continue to face risks associated with sovereign exposure throughout the forecast period. However, these risks are anticipated to decrease gradually over time. Amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, banks experienced a surge in holding government debt and claims to the public sector, driven by increased government borrowing to finance expenditures. With limited access to international markets due to prohibitive costs, domestic banks emerge as the primary financiers, posing a significant risk, especially when government finances are under strain. Meanwhile, Fitch forecast a gradual fiscal consolidation in its 2024 macroeconomic outlook, attributed to financing constraints and fiscal reform efforts linked to the IMF program.
That was a Business Desk report. The Bank of Ghana has successfully completed the first phase of a project aimed at enhancing the participation of Ghanaian MSMEs in international trade. The move allows trade partners and financial institutions to efficiently verify the authenticity of trade information and reduce the obstacles MSMEs face in global trade. This was after the Central Bank and the Monetary Authority of Singapore finalized the first proof of concept, which demonstrates the use of digital credentials for international trade and cross-border payment, comprising the central bank, digital currency, ECD infrastructure, and trade marketplace. That's all for City Business News on Eyewitness News. My name is Inusafu. Up next is Point Blank.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Are you feeling tired after a hard day's work? Have you lost your appetite even for your favorite dish? Viral Blood Tonic is a nutritionally balanced, pleasant-tasting tonic fortified with iron and vitamins to boost your appetite and energy levels for high performance. Viral Blood Tonic, easy to take and good for the whole family. Viral from Danex Iting Starwin PLC. If symptoms persist after 48 hours, consult a physician. This advert is FDA approved.
Do you have a game-changing and innovative business idea or project that can impact the society? This is your moment. Total Energies presents the 4th edition of the Startup of the Year Challenge. This year, we are looking for 3 winners. The best entrepreneur, also called the InnovUp winner. The best project or innovative business idea that exemplifies the principle of recycling and minimizing waste, also called the Cycle Up winner. And the best project that promotes or relates to sustainable and affordable energies, also called the Power Up winner. And that's not all. 4 additional projects in the Power Up category will be selected by an international jury. Don't wait any longer. Apply at www.startupper.totalenergies.com for a chance to win financial support, professional mentorship, and a spotlight for your project. Terms and conditions apply.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
On Eyewitness News, my name is Umaru Sandamadu. On Channel 1 TV, previously known as Citi TV, at 3 p.m. every Thursday afternoon, Sami Wiafi and myself, we host a show known as The Situation Room. So this afternoon, we hosted Nana Ohininto. Remember, he was the NPP General Secretary in the 2008 thereabout. But now he's a key figure in the movement for change, the movement by Alan Kojo Tramantin. He was our guest today on Situation Room, and we put a number of issues relating to Alan Tramantin's campaign to him. These are his responses.
When you have walked into a natural environment to prime people up to receive you, you saw Dr. Bawumia go to Kumasi, MPP stronghold, and his convoy being booed. And Alan goes to Tamale, and people are saying, Alan Cash, we'll vote for you, we want change. At least that sends a certain kind of signal. Whether it will translate into votes or not is another matter. But we are talking about the very environment and the euphoria that you receive. The way the people will receive you at least gives you encouragement to continue. I don't know what the MPP will make of the MPP candidate in Kumasi being booed. I don't know whether they will discount it as nothing. But for me, it makes a very serious statement. For Alan to have been received the way he was received in Tamale, I was quite heartened. I told myself, look, there is work to do, yes, but the environment is encouraging and we need to move.
And before Sanda comes in, the message,
yes,
he wants to reduce taxes for spare parts delays because they complain that it's making their work difficult.
Yes.
There's a country that needs these taxes for development. If he wants to reduce these taxes for these artisans or these guys, for want of a better word, is it not going to be dangerous for this country?
You see,
how we need these taxes to develop?
You see, the problem that some of us, majority of us have as Ghanaians, is that sometimes we don't even pay attention to some of the things people like Alan Chemating has been saying. Alan has never said Ghana doesn't need taxes. But Alan has said that you cannot develop your country in any radical way by relying on taxes. What you do is that you increase agricultural productivity. You increase manufacturing and value addition. You increase your foreign earnings so that you can remove nuisance taxes. As for taxes, every country, every state collects taxes. But if you make taxation your focus, and you are not making the development of agriculture, the development of industry, the development of export, and earning of foreign exchange your focus, your economy is going to get strangled by taxation, as ours have become strangled by taxation. Experts of development have said that Africa can never develop with taxation. And some experts, even in the West, have criticized the programs that the IMF and the World Bank runs with most developing countries that call for such austere measures, cutting investments, spending, and increasing taxes. And clearly, that model hasn't taken us anywhere. By the time John Mahama left, he left Ghana with Dumso and IMF. Today, as we speak, Akufo-Addo and NPP have ended 2 terms, 8 years. They are leaving us with Dumso and the IMF. No, seriously. Look, when Alan is talking about transformational change, today I want to address something that I call the moment, the man, and the message.
I'll let you do that, but before
Yes.
then, your boss has served the longest as Ghana's trade minister.
Yes.
He did under John Kufuor, did under Akufo-Addo.
Yes.
The Ghana's longest serving trade minister.
Yes.
Trade is an important aspect of our economy.
Yes.
If we should depart from taxation or importation, trade has to be fixed.
Yes.
Under Akufo-Addo, in fact, under Kufuor, he said to us, presidential special initiatives on cassava and all of those, he gave it to Alan Chemanti to run.
Yes.
Under Akufo-Addo, he said, one district, one factory. He said you're going to move from taxation to production. Production is going to be a trade thing. Alan Chemanti's job it was to fix that. He has failed to fix that. Instead of stopping importation and empowering production, he's rather making importation more attractive by waiving taxes. That is a failure that you should admit to, first of all.
Now, if you know about who has the power to waive taxes, it is not the Trade Ministry. The waiver of taxes is between the Ministry of Finance and Parliament. The Ministry of Trade has absolutely nothing to do with the waiver of taxes. Even if people in the industrial sector, apply for tax waivers, it is sent to Parliament through the Ministry of Finance.
No, I'm talking about this promise to waive taxes that he's talking about.
No, but that's a different...
against the fact that he was supposed to prevent imports in the first place.
I'm answering you, so
yes,
just be patient.
Yes, please.
Now, so that is the first thing. So if Alan says, I'm going to hold, first of all, he said, I'm going to hold the payment of duties. I'm going to reduce the payment of duties on imported spare parts. And then there would be the production of spare parts in Ghana. So there would not even be an issue about taxation on the imports of spare parts. Now, when you talk about the PSIs, let me give you a clear picture now. If you are a minister and you come up with a new initiative, the president has to approve and agree. You can't implement if the president says no. So he brought PSI. In fact, Alan brought the PSIs. Showed it as a minister.
Okay.
He's the one who proposed PSI, like 1D, 1F. It was his brainchild. Mm-hmm. He proposed, and President Kufuor accepted. And then he said, we have been stuck with our traditional exports, cocoa, gold, and a few non-traditional exports. If we don't diversify our economy, and we get stuck in what President Kufuor has been describing as the Gorgesburg economy, we'll be going in circles. In of IMF, out of IMF, in of IMF, out of IMF. So let us shift our focus to oil palm, cassava starch, industrial salt, and garments. And what Alan did with garments, first of all, as ambassador before he became trade minister, he had initiated a move for America, the US, to agree to a trade arrangement called AGUA, so that manufactured goods from Ghana will go to the American market tariff-free. It was Alan who initiated it. So then he becomes minister and pushes it into the garment initiative. A number of garment industries that were in the free zones areas will get orders from Costco and other American shops that they cannot even meet. So how come that is a failure? Starch. As we speak today, Zoom Lion has bought majority shares in Ayinsu Starch. And I don't know who would tell me that Zoom Lion is not a smart businessman.
What about the 1D1F?
I'm coming to that. This is from PSI. The area, and I was shown just part of his plantation. And the fact that he employs expatriates at his processing plants, I was amazed. Today. And then salt. I'm sure you know about our friend Despite, McDonald, and those who are in the salt industries today. They are billionaires, partly from the salt sector. Now, what happens is that Alan was the ambassador for 3 years in the first term of Kufuor. He was Minister of Trade for just about 1 year, and then another 3 years of the second term, then he went to do campaigning. After MPP left office, as usual, the NDC treated the PSIs as an MPP thing. This is a major initiative that has the capacity to change, radically change the economy. Now, Malaysia earns $20 billion from oil palm alone every year. Supposing from 2003, 2008, MPP left office, the government that took over had just focused on oil palm alone. Malaysia came to Ghana to pick their lessons about oil palm cultivation in the 1960s from Ghana. Now, come to 1D1F. Alan Kyerematen is the originator of the concept of one district, one factory. Before it went into MPP manifesto. But the important thing, I kept telling you, the president has to accept it. If the president says, well, it's a good idea, but they're sorry. Yeah. That's it. But you see, Alan is so future-oriented that when Alan said, I am going to create an automobile industry, building a policy, ministers of this government said it was not possible. Today we have 6 powerful global automobile companies manufacturing brand new cars in Ghana. This is what Alan is talking about. Oh. Look, as we speak today, the Neoplan workshop in Kumasi, the NDC government wanted to sell it. They couldn't. When Kufuor came, some people were pushing for it to be sold to a foreign investor. The magazine people came and told Alan. Alan said, if you people are ready to take it up as your machine shop to be re-equipped, I will ensure it is so. It is now sold to the magazine people for it to be re-equipped for the manufacture of brand new parts in Ghana. So if this man tells you, I can create an economic development framework or model that can reduce taxes so that the government's development program doesn't become dependent or over-dependent on taxes, the man knows what he's talking about. The moment we are living in summarizes our situation. That over 32 years of our 4th Republican Democratic experience, I don't want to call it experiment again, because 32 years has gone beyond experiment. The experience will show you that we have done things a certain way. We have done governance a certain way. We have done economic management a certain way. We've done our politics a certain way. This is the result we have. In IMF, out of IMF, and back in IMF, out of IMF, and back in. In Doomsor and back out of Doomsor. The situation is that we seem to pick up from time to time and then slump into the dunghill, basically. And then struggle and struggle if you get the opportunity, the luck, the good luck, to have a president like President Kufuor. When President Kufuor took office, he told everybody that we are in the hole. In fact, the NDC people themselves agreed that we were in the hole, to the extent that Spiogabra told MPP, after the election results were announced, you MPP people, you ran to come and take the government. At the end of January 2001, you see what money you used to pay public sector workers. He knew what was happening at the Bank of Ghana. It was empty. As it is empty today, where our debt to GDP is over 90%, 80-something to 90%.
We are drowned.
So what are we talking about? What do we want as Ghanaians? Just the election cycle? Agriculture. Stay of our economy for over 100 years. We haven't really picked up cocoa production. President Kufuor picked it at about 1.1, 1.3 million tons. And then after MPP left, By the time NDC was leaving, it was around 700,000 tons. Today, it's about 400,000 tons. Ghana has to import cocoa from Cote d'Ivoire. How do you get out of that?
Because of swollen shoot, because of galamsey. You can't blame.
So those in the Cote d'Ivoire, they don't know about swollen shoot. They don't know about galamsey. So why did we allow swollen shoot and galamsey?
We had to cut old trees.
Let me tell you, we have one of the best cocoa research institutes in the whole world. In the whole world. Not just in Africa or West Africa. In the whole world, the best institution for research into cocoa agronomy, into cocoa diseases, into cocoa industry and processing, the best in the whole world is in Ghana, not enough in Ghana. So I know about swollen shoot because after O-level I went and worked at Cocoa Research Institute at TAFO, and I was working at the pathology division which deals with the diseases. So I know how much research has gone on. So if today Ghana is not able to deal with swollen shoot, then we're in big trouble. If today we are not, but you know, research has gone on quite a bit.
How will Alan fix it? How will Alan fix the declining volumes of cocoa export or cocoa production?
Two things: technology research, that is technology, and agronomy, export, value addition, and so on. But the first thing to do is to create plantation agriculture, which is going to be supported by technologies. That one we haven't done. Next door, Cote d'Ivoire. It was a deliberate policy by the first president, President Houphouët-Boigny. Fortunately for Cote d'Ivoire, succeeding governments have made it a policy that if you are going to get into politics, show us your farm. You want to get into politics, show us your plantation, or show us your factory, or show us your industry, something like that. But short of saying that, I am saying, if government's policy is that plantation agriculture is what's going to save us, government will deal with land tenure system. Government will deal with the issues that are connected with machinery and equipment. Government will deal with the practices that will give you a quantum leap. Government will provide the policy framework to cushion farmers, not just lip service.
Nana, your campaign sounds sweet, just like Dr. Bawumia's campaign. The only difficulty is that the accusation against Bawumia is what is being put against you too. You served in the Akufo-Addo government for 7 years. Why didn't you fix all these things, and why are you now saying they should give you the steering wheel so you fix something you could have fixed?
Alan hasn't talked about steering wheel. That's Bawumia's campaign.
I know, I'm just using the steering wheel to mean power.
I know you are remotely related to Samira, so you might probably be interested.
No, I'm not related to Samira. We just happen to come from the same ethnic group. So which means that you and Samuel appear Dankwa also because it's Akan, possibly related. But the question is, you want the mantle now to deliver when you've had 7 years to deliver and you failed.
If that is the argument, then John Mahama is disqualified, then Bawumia is disqualified, then you might also disqualify Alachawati, because John Mahama has been vice president and president, and he definitely couldn't solve all our problems. Bawumia has been vice president for 8 years. The interesting thing about Bawumia's 8 years as vice president is that when I was general secretary and Akufo-Addo came as candidate to propose Bawumia as running mate, who said, what are you talking about?
Whiny.
The man is not a member of the party. And you are telling us that this whole big party, you can't find a running mate. There was a fight at the Isa Hotel. We fought and fought. Akufo-Addo said, please, this gentleman, he's so well versed in the economy. If you people allow me to bring him in, and I'm president, I will hand over the economy to him, and you people will see the kind of work he will do for the economy of Ghana. Everybody got nervous. Hey, Massa, economy, can you? If the man can fix the economy, this one looks at this and says, well, President Kufuor said, hey, Massa, let us listen to the man's advice before one day we'll regret if we don't agree. So we agreed, reluctantly. President Akufo-Addo stepped on the campaign platform and told the whole nation, after speaking to us in closet, he told Ghana, listen to that. That is why I have brought Bawumia. When I'm president, I will hand the economy to him. And you traders, you will trade and see your capital grow and see your profits grow. Hey. So we accepted Bawumia. So if anybody tells you that oh, this one was also in the government. This one, then everybody who is in some previous government is disqualified.
Nana Ohininto, former General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, now a member of the Movement for Change, Alan Chamantin's Movement for Change. He was on the Situation Room on Citi TV, now known as Channel 1 Television, with myself and Sami Wiafe. That will be it for Eyewitness News tonight. The show returns tomorrow at 17:30 GMT. Thank you for listening. Have a good night.